Welcome back to Game Crunch, everyone, keeping you up to date with the latest in the video game world. Now today, yes, thanks for asking, I am feeling a little bit better. Now today we've got a couple interesting things to talk about, including these new claims that Sony's closure of Firewalk Studios is somehow furthering a gaming monopoly. I'm trying to wrap my head around how this is working. We're going to talk about it. As well, if you remember Dragon Age the Veilguard, you remember a lot of people were hating on it because of its graphics. Well, it's doing pretty good, and it's dethroned a certain first-person shooter and swear word generator from the #1 spot. But of course, before we get into that, I'll just give you a minute. Yep. You know what to do. Yeah, go ahead and, the button right there. Click it. You get it? Okay, let's go. Now, first up, Sony's recent shutdown of Firewalk Studios has sparked a little bit of criticism from the Communication Workers of America, claiming that they shut them down to further their monopoly. The move follows an underwhelming launch of Concord, Firewalk's first live service shooter, which Sony took offline within 2 weeks due to poor player response. According to Kotaku, Sony initially invested $200 million in the game, but reportedly needed more funding to complete its development. Some reports claim up to $400 million, leading to the studio's dissolution. The CWA argues that these closures demonstrate Sony's preference to prioritize its exclusive console games over competing in the mobile and live service markets. They contend that Sony's approach limits competition by maintaining a walled garden, as they call it, of exclusive titles. The CWA plans to discuss this with antitrust authorities, warning policymakers of Sony's growing market influence. These closures have become a flashpoint in the ongoing debate over monopoly practices in gaming, with the CWA advocating for collective bargaining to better support workers impacted by such abrupt changes. So, of course, that being said, this is what I'm trying to wrap my head around. So Sony invested $200 million into this game before they bought the studio. Bought the studio last year, invested reportedly up to another $200 million just to have the game flop, just to shut down the studio. You see where I'm going with this? This seems like a very roundabout way to kind of gain a monopoly. Like, I'm just trying to wrap my head around it. Maybe down in the comments you can kind of help me figure this out. Now, in other news, Dragon Age the Veilguard has debuted on Steam's top seller list at #1, dethroning Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Released by EA and BioWare, the game achieved a peak of over 70,000 concurrent players within 24 hours, making it BioWare's most successful launch on Steam, surpassing Mass Effect Legendary Edition. While Veilguard has shown some impressive sales numbers, reviews have been a little mixed. According to VGC, the game offers moments that capture BioWare's classic RPG magic, but also struggles with repetitive gameplay and lacks innovation. Reviewers have praised the story and characters, noting that the game shines in some of the main missions. However, much of the gameplay felt stagnant, with BioWare's formula seeming outdated compared to modern RPG standards. This blend of commercial success and critical reservations positions Veilguard as a noteworthy entry for BioWare, especially in a competitive RPG market. Now, a couple things I'll add is, yes, it's at the top of Steam's bestseller list, but you've got to factor in how many players are on Call of Duty from Game Pass and Xbox. So it's not outselling Call of Duty Black Ops 6 entirely, but it did dethrone it temporarily on Steam's bestseller list. Now, some of the reviews, I've only played one, Dragon Age Inquisition, and I couldn't really get into that one. So I don't really think I'm going to check this game out, but it kind of does intrigue me a little bit. They're saying maybe some outdated RPG mechanics, because honestly, I feel like some of those RPG mechanics from some of the older games are kind of better than the new games anyway. But as always, let me know what your thoughts are down below. Let me know how you're wrapping your head around how Sony investing $400 million into a company just to have the game flop and shut them down is somehow monopolizing the market. Seems like a waste of money to me, especially, as I talked about in my previous video, they should have been able to look at this game and see that with the interest and whatnot that was generating in it, that, you should have been able to call it a flop. And let me know, have you played Dragon Age the Veilguard? What are your thoughts on it down below? Should I pick it up? Maybe should I check it out? Is it going to be better than Inquisition? Anyway, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Have a good weekend, and I'll see you next time.